News Network live feed. Yes, we're broadcasting on all platforms tonight. We are on X, we are on Rumble, we are on YouTube. And a special shout out to our new streaming partner, Trump Daily Post. So give them a follow over at their X account for the latest inside the administration. If you're following us on X, you'll see us there, but make sure you give them a follow. This is the first time we're going to be streaming on our platform as well as theirs. They post, I mean, they were the first X account that I saw that actually got Trump's Truth Social posts like every single time. And it was the first follow that I gave to an account that was really on top of their game. So make sure you follow them. They really are keeping very close watch on President Trump's Truth Social account, and we're honored to be partnering with them. We got a lot of news to cover tonight. So let me just get right into some of these topics. We're going to be discussing what they found with this alien DNA. Apparently there's a CIA story that's out now, and we're going to talk about the new movie that Spielberg's putting out called Disclosure Day, all these things colliding at the same time. We're going to show you the trailer for that. A couple things just dropped from that movie, really lining up with the second drop of Disclosure Files that happened last week. We got some new updates on the Ebola response worldwide with the World Health Organization. We're going to talk about what's going on with ICE as well, as there were multiple attacks on ICE agents over the weekend in New Jersey and elsewhere. Also, President Trump is going after Chicago again, and rightly so, after the teen takeovers completely took over the entire city over the weekend. We got explosive, I mean, literally explosive footage we're going to show you from that. Also, we've got news on the gas price front. I know a lot of you guys are concerned about that. President Trump's got it under control. We're going to be talking about that, and of course, the Democrats' panicked reaction as always, because whenever President Trump does something right, they have to counter back with their hateful rhetoric in an attempt to spin the good news. We're also going to be talking about the latest out of Iran. Massive movements took place over the weekend and last night. We're going to be talking about that and how we're getting closer to a resolution there. And of course, President Trump's health report has just been released. He was just at Walter Reed, so we're going to be discussing that, of course, in contrast to the previous president, and how the media completely ran cover for Joe Biden's decline as President Trump continues to rack win after win after win, and his cognitive abilities are unmatched, especially when you compare it to the last president. So we're going to get right into it with all the news that you've been waiting for today. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got seven topics we're going to run down today. So I appreciate you joining, and let's get right into it, Brian. Explosions rocked the waters near the Strait of Hormuz overnight as U.S. forces carried out self-defense strikes on Iranian mine-laying vessels and missile sites. Now, this marks the first direct hit since early May and signals a dramatic shift in the crisis. President Trump drawing a very hard line with clear demands on enriched uranium and open navigation. Iran responding with threats and propaganda claims. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, he's stating bluntly that the strait must stay open without tolls or any games. The world's watching to see if diplomacy can keep pace with these military moves, and what could happen next could certainly reshape global energy flows. Now, the Strait of Hormuz, not just another waterway, it is a critical choke point that moves nearly 20% of the world's oil supply every single day. Any sustained disruption there drives immediate price spikes at the pump for American families and threatens shipping insurance systems worldwide. Now, U.S. strikes are openly targeting Iranian assets to protect freedom of navigation after years of weak policies that left allies exposed. Now, this is about restoring strength so America and its partners can secure energy routes without apology. Global markets from New York to Tokyo are already reacting because energy costs touch every household and every budget and every business supply chain. President Trump's approach combines direct pressure with diplomatic openings to deliver lasting results where previous efforts have failed. Now, the stakes in the Gulf, they underscore America's need for secure mineral resources. We got some breaking news as well on the minerals, the critical mineral supply chain, showing another fight where strength matters. Now, the SAGA metal story, it got stronger less than 48 hours ago. SAGA Metals released new information suggesting that its radar project may be sitting on one of the largest titanium and vanadium sites on the planet. SAGA trades as SAGMF in the US and SAGA in Canada. Now, to understand the scale, you got to compare the radar project to China's Penzhenhua deposit. That is a state-linked system that's valued in the multi-billion-dollar range, also responsible for over 40% of global vanadium output. Check out the interview that I did with the CEO last weekend, because these critical minerals, they power defense systems, energy infrastructure, and advanced manufacturing that keep America secure during times like this Iran crisis. And check the exclusive briefing that's linked below, but it's only for Next News viewers. Now, beyond the strikes and the mineral angle, a fresh development is emerging in the diplomatic tract. President Trump is actively pushing expansion of the Abraham Accords to lock in more Arab partners against Iranian aggression. Now, this move pairs military resolve with long-term alliance building to isolate Tehran. Now, commentary from Donald Trump posts from Truth Social, Trump Daily Post, they posted this just in: intense negotiations are underway right now in Doha, Qatar, to end the Iranian conflict. Trump is holding firm on America First terms, and that's exactly how it should be. Iran says that a degree of understanding has been reached. Big things are happening. So let's take a look at this report. Oh, and while we're waiting for that report to load up, let me just go ahead and bring in our audio track, because sometimes you never know what these Bluetooth devices are going to provide for us, but we'll get that for you so we have full context and understanding of what exactly is happening right now as we break down all this news. And of course, this is live, so you never know exactly what's going to happen when we're live. So I think we got it
great
now.
deal,
here we go.
Or it won't be a deal at all. Iran says a degree of understanding has been reached with the U.S. as the country's president has ordered some internet service to be restored. Both sides say it's a work in progress. As talks continue to effort a roadmap for resolving remaining issues, here's where those talks stand. Now, Iran would be required to open the Strait of Hormuz, as well as ending fees and restrictions on commercial shipping. There would be limits on uranium enrichment. That has to be discussed, and follow-up talks would need to address enriched uranium stockpiles. It would also need to take an active role in a broader regional de-escalation. The U.S. is holding firm on a few key points. First and foremost, no sanctions relief before verified Iranian steps, and to focus on turning a temporary framework into a final agreement. At least for now, nuclear terms remain unresolved. As for Iran, it could get phased sanctions relief, easing of the U.S. blockade measures, expanded oil and trade access, and a path towards broader economic normalization. President Trump today saying for that normalization to happen, our Gulf allies should join in. He wrote on Truth Social this: negotiations with the Islamic Republic of Iran are proceeding nicely. It will only be a great deal for all or no deal at all. I am mandatorily requesting that all countries immediately sign the Abraham Accords, and that if Iran signs its agreement with me as President of the United States of America, it would be an honor to have them also be a part of this unparalleled world coalition. The Middle East would be united, powerful, and economically strong like perhaps no other area in the world. And with that, joining us, retired Navy SEAL commander and former...
So President Trump holding firm in Doha for deal that opens the strait without games. General Jack Keane breaking down why Iran must lose all control there. America's Newsroom posting that the Iran talks remain tense. And Jack Keane breaks down the stakes in this current phase of the negotiations, with Trump echoing that the U.S. will make a good deal or no deal at all.
The administration negotiators got their eyes wide open here. They know exactly what's at play here. But I would just want to make sure our audience understands how significant this really is in terms of Iran not having any control over the Straits of Hormuz and it being returned to an area of freedom of navigation. And then the rest of it is very complicated, as we have seen over many, many weeks, and even prior to conflict operations, dealing with nuclear issues, dismantling, getting rid of the enrichment that it has, and also pushing back on ballistic missile development and support for proxies. There's going to be a frameworks phase one, get an agreement on what the framework is, and then get down to the hard work of rolling up the sleeves and trying to figure out what a good deal is for the United States. We know what our positions are. They're very clear, and we have made public statements to address.
Now, look at the lower third graphic. Iran claims right to control the Strait of Hormuz. That's got to be off the table, in my opinion. That should be completely international waters. They should have absolutely no right to control that strait, because that is the choke point that they keep leveraging over the entire world. So that's got to be off the table.
Them. And I'm absolutely convinced we're not going to make a bad deal. I'm not going to relitigate, should we or shouldn't we be in this phase. I felt from the outset we should have continued kinetic operations and then forced them into uncompromising positions. But this is the president's decision. He wanted to take a diplomatic action here, and I think what we need to make certain here and assist this along and help and inform the American people as to what the stakes are, what the issues are here.
So the stakes are that we just cannot let these guys have nukes. We can't let them control the strait. So the framework talks moving forward, Iran getting a partial internet restoration after 88 days of total blackout. OSINT Defender says nearly 3 months after internet connectivity, Iran was cut to near zero. NetBlocks is reporting partial restoration confirmed. Live metrics show a partial restoration to internet connectivity in Iran on day 88, after 2,093 hours of near total isolation from international networks, the longest nationwide internet shutdown in modern history. It's unclear if the restoration will be sustained. So we're going to continue here. More from OSINT Defender. United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations Center has now issued an alert after receiving a report of an explosion from the master of a tanker vessel 60 nm east, nautical miles east of Muscat, Oman. The vessel reported an external explosion on the port side of the ship near the waterline. The vessel and crew are safe. However, some fuel has spilled into the water. So that is the Maritime Trade Operation Alert. So this is the location here. We can see it generally where this has occurred. So an explosion on a tanker. So Iran is facing real pressure. Trump hammering the difference between Obama's cash drops and actual strength. We have this President Trump just meme blasting in the last 24 hours. As you guys know, the pallets of cash that Barack Obama sent to Iran versus President Trump's policy, and that's what we do. We don't appease, we don't negotiate with terrorists. We come from a position of strength. So President Trump, Obama's Iran policy, pallets of cash, President Trump's policy, strength. All roads lead to Hussein. This should have been done by Obama. He went the other way. He was giving him cash. He sent plane loads of a Boeing 757, took seats up, put green cash in that plane. Let's listen to this moment from the Oval.
This should have been done by Obama. He went the other way. He was giving them cash. He sent plane loads of Boeing 757, took the seats out, and put green cash, $1.7 billion in the plane. Every bank in Virginia, D.C., and Maryland was stripped of their cash. They took out all the cash from the banks. They put it into a plane, a Boeing 757 packed with cash. And they flew it to Iran, and they let these guys just, I don't know what the hell they did with it, but they took it and then gave them billions and billions of dollars and bribed them basically to be friends. And after giving them tens of billions of dollars, they screwed Obama, okay? That's not the way we play. No, we do it the old-fashioned way. And they should wave. They're very proud. Maybe you won't see a white flag, but essentially, that's already what they are.
Well, if you all recall, yes, they did screw Obama, and it's very likely that he bent over and enjoyed every moment of it. No more pallets of cash. Rubio now laying out plainly the strait reopens one way or another. Trump's post from Truth Social. Secretary of State Mark Rubio has spoken during his high-stakes diplomatic tour. He's just overseas. And what did he have to say here?
Secretary of State Marco Rubio has just spoken during his high-stakes diplomatic tour, declaring that the vital Strait of Hormuz will be completely reopened, one way or the other. Speaking to reporters en route to New Delhi this morning, Secretary Rubio confirmed that the U.S. and its regional allies share a strong baseline alignment on a preliminary peace draft, but explicitly warned that the Trump administration will walk away if Iran refuses to cooperate. As negotiators crunch the final text, Secretary Rubio noted the remaining friction points will take a couple days to settle, even down to disagreements over a word or a sentence, emphasizing that it's either going to be a good deal or there isn't going to be one. This follows as a wave of overnight U.S. military self-defense airstrikes hitting Iranian military targets in southern Iran, completely backing up the administration's aggressive stance, peace through strength. Rubio completely destroyed Tehran's illegal attempt to enforce a maritime tolling system on commercial shipping, torching the regime's blockade as unlawful, illegal, unsustainable, and unacceptable, while noting that not even China or Russia support it. The clock is officially ticking down for Tehran. Cooperate completely and scrap the nuclear ambitions, or face total, crushing military devastation.
And it's only really a matter of time. They better just get to the table and surrender. Real America's Voice reporting that Trump is pushing the expanded Abraham Accords. Representative Mark Alford says Trump is trying to get Middle East peace back on the rails by pressuring more Arab nations to normalize relations with Israel. Let's take a look.
The president put up quite a few Truth Social posts over the long holiday weekend. He talked about Iran and the Abraham Accords. He called on several countries to join and expanded Abraham Accords. He even said, hey, Iran, you're welcome too, LOL. So Saudi Arabia, this is an interesting one. He wants Saudi Arabia to join the Abraham Accords. Time out. I go to Google. I believe everything on the internet. But let me understand this for a second. Saudi Arabia has said that they won't join the Abraham Accords unless there's a Palestinian state. There's going to be no Palestinian state. So I don't know what this is. I do know it's bold by the president, and I like the way he thinks. And maybe this is just a starting point like he always does. But what's your take on all of this?
Look, I think it's a good thing that President Trump is trying to pressure some of these Arab nations to join what others had joined right before October 7th. You know, Saudi Arabia was going to join. And that's why Sinwar jumped the gun and invaded Israel and slaughtered thousands of innocent Jews. We were on track to make this happen. It got off the rails, and now President Trump is trying to get back on the rails. Look, Egypt and Jordan already have similar pacts with Israel and the United States of America. Let's get other countries, Syria, Lebanon. Yes, Iran, if the regime changes there and they no longer want to be the largest state sponsor of Islamic terrorism, bring them into the fold. We have to normalize relations with Israel and the United States for Mideast to be rational, reasonable players for the world. And when we traveled to the Mideast last year, a little more than a year ago, that's what they were saying. The president of Egypt, the king of Jordan, others were saying, members of the Saudi royal family saying, we need normal relations. Iran, something needs to be changed. Please do something about it. And thank God Donald J. Trump is doing something about it.
So President Trump obviously doing all he can to bring harmony into the Middle East, even those diplomatic efforts continue. Iran's IRGC dropping some new footage claiming that an American drone was shot down. Well, I mean, congratulations, guys. You shot down a drone. All right, try a little bit harder. Yeah, they're pounding their chest over this. Oh yeah, we shot down a drone. We're so happy. We beat the great Satan. Yeah.
وقتی آرش‌های پدافند کمان بکشند
پهپاد
گران قیمت آمریکا این گونه مانند ضایعاتی بار قایق می‌شود.
Yeah, see, look at, we got the drone. It's in our tiny little boat. Our boats were so fast that Donald Trump's big destroyers could not even hit our little boat. But we got their evil satanic drone out of the sky. And we can prove that we can defeat the great Satan. See, look at our big boat. Look at our boat. It's so fast. And it's so fast that we even got one of the drones. Yeah. See? Look it. I'm touching it here. We're going to take it now, and we're going to take it apart and make an even bigger drone to make the great Satan go goodbye. Oh, isn't that cute? Isn't that just cute? So, Iran's foreign minister calls U.S. strikes on the mine-laying vessels blatant ceasefire violation, vowing to respond. The Islamic Republic of Iran will not leave any evil unanswered. Iran accuses the U.S. of maritime piracy, despite the fact that these defensive maneuvers were the direct result of them catching them laying mines. So Iran's claims are flying fast, but Trump made demands crystal clear on the enriched uranium. Morning update on Iran. Trump drawing a hard line on the Strait. The strikes hit near the Strait. U.S. forces conducted defensive airstrikes overnight on Iran mine-laying vessels and surface-to-air sites. First direct hit since early May. Iran's supreme leader is raging, demanding America abandon our bases in the Gulf. Good luck with that. Trump made it clear on Truth Social, hand over the enriched uranium now, or we'll handle it. Marco Rubio reinforcing the message: Strait stays open, no tolls, no games. This is what strength looks like after years of weak-knee diplomacy. Here's a report on that.
Conducted self-defense strikes near the Strait of Hormuz Monday.
And Iran's supreme leader is calling for an end to U.S. military bases in the Gulf region, saying, quote, the hands of time will not turn back.
Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst joining us now live from Tel Aviv with the very latest. Good morning, Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. Overnight, the United States conducted airstrikes against southern Iran near the Strait of Hormuz. CENTCOM says these strikes were defensive in nature and went after mine-laying vessels along with a surface-to-air missile position. These were the first U.S. strikes that have targeted Iran since early May. A spokesperson for Iran's armed forces said any new aggression will be met with a far more severe response. The strikes come amid the backdrop of ongoing diplomatic efforts to reach an agreement between Iran and the United States. Overnight, President Trump laid out a condition that he has, saying on Truth Social, the enriched uranium nuclear dust will either be immediately turned over to the United States to be brought home and destroyed, or preferably in conjunction and coordination with the Islamic Republic of Iran, destroyed in place or at another acceptable location with the Atomic Energy Commission or its equivalent being witness to this process and event. Thank you for your attention to this matter. The other key issue has to do with the Strait of Hormuz. Secretary of State Marco Rubio reiterated the Trump administration position on this critical waterway during a gaggle today.
The straits have to be open. They're going to be open one way or the other. So they need to be open. What's happening there is unlawful, it's illegal, it's unsustainable for the world, it's unacceptable. That cannot happen. The straits need to be open, unimpeded, without tolls. And obviously that needs to happen immediately as soon as anything.
We're also tracking developments in the conflict between Israel and Iran.
So there you have the latest from that front as well. Rubio reinforcing the point without hesitation. Straits have to be open, and what's happening there is illegal. We have more from that gaggle direct feed here. Take a look.
Straits have to be open. They're going to be open one way or the other. So they need to be open. What's happening there is unlawful, it's illegal, it's unsustainable for the world, it's unacceptable. I don't know of any country in the world that does it. The Russians are not in favor of a tolling system. The Chinese are not in favor of a tolling system. I mean, there's no country in the world that's in favor of a tolling system except the regime in Iran. So that's not acceptable. That cannot happen. The straits need to be open, unimpeded, without tolls. And obviously that needs to happen immediately as soon as anything's agreed to.
So the real meaning for America is that peace through strength is delivering results where past weakness invited aggression. Trump's team is forcing Iran to the table on nuclear limits, open shipping lanes, and regional de-escalation while simultaneously expanding the Abraham Accords to build a stronger coalition. This dual track of strikes and diplomacy prevents nuclear breakout and protects the global economy from energy shocks. And it stands in direct contrast to the failed cash payments of the previous era that only empowered adversaries. America is no longer bribing enemies, but enforcing clear terms that put U.S. interests first. So the Trump administration's firm stance shows that America leads when it refuses bad deals and backs words with action. This approach secures shipping lanes, deters escalation, and strengthens alliances all at the same time. So share this report with your friends who need the full picture and drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for ongoing coverage. Does Trump's maximum pressure approach work better than the old days of sending pallets of cash? If you haven't done so yet, join the thousands of patriots who've already texted the words raw feed to that secret number you see on the screen, 844-840-4963. That's how you bypass the algorithm suppression and get direct updates straight to your phone from yours truly. And make sure you check out the Next News merch shelf below this video and celebrate America 250 with us. Strength and resolve like this keep America safe and prosperous for generations to come. All right. So the Iran story continues to move forward, as do we. And we're just checking in here with some of the messages. I get flooded with messages even when I'm live here. Yes, sorry. Okay, so looks like we got quite a few people watching from our new streaming partner over there at Trump Daily Post. Looks like we got over 12,000 people who are watching. Tom and Bella just dropping $10 in Super Chats. Super Chats coming in too. We thank you for that. And everyone watching on X, just so you guys know, your chat messages do show up on the stream right here. Gary Weston, we see you. We see you loud and clear. Checking in on some Super Chats, we got Curio2369 who says, what is he saying here? Oh boy. Doing a great job, Gary and team. Here we are again. When you fart, it could be silent or loud, but there's a turd option. Oh my goodness. Okay. I know the rules, so I have to read the Super Chats. Tom and Bella also dropping a $5 TG. Thanks, Gary. What's up? Tom and Bella dropping 5. Tom and Bella again. Winning every day, just as promised by Donald J. Trump. Yes, we are. Tom and Bella, $10. Salty Nationalist dropping $10. Show Gary some love, smash the like button, and share the stream with your friends. And of course, if you're watching on X, on any of the platforms, make sure that you re-share the feed. That is how we break through and we invite new members to the family here. That's really what it's about. It's about growing our numbers, sharing the good news with people, and continuing. So, Brian, let's. I think we should move into. I know the alien story is pretty big, but I think we should probably talk about what's going on with Ebola. Then we're going to get to the gas prices. We got Trump's health report. We got the alien DNA. We got the Chicago chaos, which is out of control. The footage you're going to see is just out of control. And then we got all that action that took place in New Jersey with all just the liberal left lunacy that continues to infect the TDS all over. You know, these guys just trying to do their job and secure America, but we're going to go ahead and see what's going on latest with the this Ebola outbreak and the reaction from the administration, and even the reaction from Tim Kaine. What's he saying? Yeah, we'll find out in a minute. Let's go, Brian. A hyper-aggressive Ebola outbreak is ripping through Central Africa right now, and global responders are openly admitting that they're losing the race. The World Health Organization just confirmed more than 900 suspected cases, 220 suspected deaths, with the rare Bundibugyo strain that has no licensed vaccine. Medical teams say that they're playing catch-up as the virus tears through conflict zones, but here at home, the Trump administration's not waiting around. Federal officials have already expanded mandatory screenings to Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport with temperature checks and health questionnaires. So why are they moving so fast while the World Health Organization keeps warning that the world is still ahead? Well, I'll tell you this matters because infectious disease threats do not respect borders, and weak responses invite disaster. The Trump administration is prioritizing American safety by hardening airport protocols and limiting entry from affected regions, which is exactly the America First approach that protects citizens first. Democrats and globalists are already attacking the withdrawal from the World Health Organization and aid adjustments, claiming that it leaves us exposed, yet the facts show the opposite. Proactive screening, sovereign border decisions keep the virus out while failed international bureaucracies scramble. Every American family deserves leaders who put our health security ahead of global talking points. The global approach shows real leadership that refuses to repeat past mistakes of delayed action. Now, before we go further into the response posture, here's a quick national security update on America's critical mineral supply chain that directly supports health readiness. Now, the SAGA metal story just got stronger. Less than 48 hours ago, SAGA released new information suggesting its radar project may be sitting on one of the largest titanium-vanadium systems on the planet. Now, if you don't know, write this down. SAGA trades as SAGMF in the U.S., SAGA in Canada. And to understand the scale, compare the radar project to China's Panzinhua deposit, which is a state-linked system. It's valued in the multi-billion-dollar range. It's also responsible for over 40% of global vanadium supply. Check out the in-depth interview that I did with the CEO on this topic last weekend, and check out the exclusive briefing that's linked below, but it's only for Next News viewers. Now let's get back to this Ebola development and how the administration is staying ahead of it. See, one angle the mainstream is burying is Russia's sudden announcement of a vaccine candidate targeting this exact strain. That development adds a geopolitical layer that changes the entire conversation about who controls the tools to fight future outbreaks. We have this, the feds now expanding Ebola travel restrictions to Atlanta airport as outbreak worsens in Africa. Federal officials now adding Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, International Airport, to the list of spots monitoring travelers for Ebola exposure. Death toll is climbing overseas. World Health Organization warning it's going to get worse before it gets better. Sound familiar? Another don't panic situation while they quietly ramp up screening at major U.S. hubs. We've seen this movie before, haven't we?
Exposure as the death toll climbs in Africa. And the World Health Organization now warning the outbreak will, quote, get worse before it gets better. The Director General posting on X, quote, so far 101 cases have been confirmed in the Dominican Republic of the Congo, including 10 confirmed deaths. But we know the epidemic in the DRC is much larger. There are now more than 900 suspected cases and 220 suspected deaths. We are continuing to scale up the response with our partners, and we expect more cases to be identified in the coming days and weeks. Joining us now to discuss this is an infectious disease physician and scholar, senior scholar at the Johns Hopkins University Center for Health Security, Dr. Amesh Adalja. Dr. Adalja, thank you so much for joining us. So when it comes to the spread of this virus into the United States, how are we doing so far? Are we doing a good job in making sure that it does not come to the U.S.?
Yes, all of the plans that we have in place are going to minimize the likelihood of any Ebola case ending up in the United States. That being said, you need to have programs, you need to be proactive, you need to do things like funnel people through certain airports like we're seeing, and you have to be at the ready because things can happen. And I think although this poses no major threat to the general public in the United States, it is something that we have to recognize could impact the United States. And I think that's why it's really important to extinguish this outbreak at its source. That's the best way to keep.
Distinguish it at its source. So, while a Johns Hopkins doctor claims U.S. screening plans are working, ABC admits the outbreak is spreading faster than responders can contain it, with non-citizens facing a total ban. Of course, take everything you hear from the mainstream press with a grain of salt, because what do they love to do? They love to ramp up the panic, don't they?
It's been 1 week since the World Health Organization declared Ebola a global public health emergency, and already health officials are admitting that the outbreak is spreading faster than they can contain it. Several countries now tightening their travel restrictions, including right here in the U.S. Americans coming in from affected areas can only enter through airports here in Atlanta, Dulles Airport in Virginia, and starting today, Bush Airport in Houston. And they're required to undergo enhanced screenings, including temperature checks. Meanwhile, non-citizens were banned from traveling into this country altogether if they've been to those impacted areas in the last 3 weeks. That's because the virus is raging. Doctors now suspect nearly 900 infections, primarily in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Another 200 people are also suspected to have died from this virus. At least 10 African nations have now been warned that they have an elevated transmission risk. With the FIFA World Cup less than 3 weeks away now, fears are growing that the virus could spread beyond Central Africa. The White House is warning the Congolese soccer team, which is currently in Belgium, that their players could be denied entry into the U.S. if they return to their home country before the FIFA matches begin on June 11th. But Diane, despite all these warnings and all these worries, global health officials say that on the global level, the threat of Ebola right now remains low.
The threat of Ebola remains low. So that's where we stand right now, is according to CBS or ABC. Continuing here, the U.S. tightening airport screening, blocking non-citizens. Blocking the non-citizens, let me just pull up this frame here. Blocking non-citizens, Russian scientists have now announced a vaccine targeting the exact strain that's driving the outbreak. Russian embassy in South Africa posting this. This is now translated from Russian. Russian scientists have developed a vaccine against the new Ebola strain, Health Minister Marushko announced. According to Russian scientists, the vaccine may also protect against the rare Bundibugyo strain linked to the outbreak in the DRC, made in Russia. So this is the infographic that the Russians decided to attach to that post. The Ebola vaccine. Yeah, I'm not going to be lining up for that. I'll tell you that much. I'm not going to be injecting myself with anything that has the word Ebola on it, and especially the word Russia on it. So Russian scientists have developed a vaccine against the new strain. World Health reports 220 suspected deaths. Discussions with World Health on vaccine production. Global cooperation at the 79th World Health Assembly in Geneva. Russian vaccine may also protect against the rare Bundibugyo strain. That's what the experts say. So the Russians are rather proud of their new working vaccine. But Senator Tim Kaine using the crisis to blame Trump's World Health Organization exit and aid cuts instead of focusing on border protections. Yes, enter Senator Tim Kaine. He's now entered the chat. Man, I've never liked this guy. I never liked his face. I never liked his attitude. I just never trusted him. And, he was also Hillary Clinton's chosen running mate. He writes that the Ebola outbreak in the DRC shows why President Trump's withdrawal from the World Health Organization and humanitarian aid cuts are a big mistake. Infectious diseases don't know borders, and the Trump-Vance-Edmonds chaotic and anti-science health policies make us all less safe. Says the same guy from the same party that kept us less safe when they shut down the Department of Homeland Security for, what was it, like 80 days?
When Tim Kaine here in my Senate office, I know a lot of folks are worried about the news of the Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and surrounding countries. This is a serious potential public health challenge, and it's coming at a time when the U.S. has withdrawn from the World Health Organization and other international health organizations, and at a time when the U.S. is cutting funding for humanitarian aid abroad, but also at a time when many of the leadership positions of U.S. public health agencies, the FDA, the CDC, the Surgeon General's office, are vacant because of instability among President Trump's leadership team. Just recently.
First of all, let's just clarify. All those humanitarian groups from USAID, yes, Mr. Kaine, we understand your slush funds have all been dried up. So I understand the heartbreak there. And President Trump has put real leaders in charge of the health programs in the United States. So anything you say really has no meaning. And why be a part of the World Health Organization when they got it so wrong the last time?
Had to have a second Surgeon General nominee withdraw. And the president has also seen very, very unstable and chaotic leadership in other public health agencies. This shows the importance of making these health investments. We shouldn't be withdrawing from global health organizations. We should have not quacks, but solid science-based leaders in these agencies, and we shouldn't be cutting humanitarian funds.
Yeah, keep crying, buddy. So Kaine calls Trump's policies chaotic, but the president's own update details how World Health Organization teams are already playing catch-up against the strain with no vaccine. World Health Organization has issued dire emergency warning confirming the hyper-aggressive Ebola outbreak in Central Africa is officially outpacing global response efforts. See? World Health Director announced that medical teams are completely playing catch-up, warning the world that the fast-moving epidemic will get worse before it gets better. And here we go.
The World Health Organization has issued a dire emergency warning confirming that a hyper-aggressive Ebola outbreak in Central Africa is officially outpacing global response efforts. Addressing the African Union, WHO Director General Dr. Tedros starkly announced that medical teams are completely playing catch-up, warning the world that the fast-moving epidemic will get worse before it gets better. The statistics are climbing at a terrifying rate, with health officials already tracking more than 900 suspected cases and 220 suspected deaths across the Democratic Republic of Congo and neighboring Uganda. Making matters infinitely worse, scientists confirm this is the rare Bundibugyo strain of the virus, meaning there is currently zero licensed vaccine and zero specific treatment available to halt its spread. The crisis has been designated a public health emergency of international concern, with the virus tearing through remote, conflict-ridden mining zones where local violence and massive population displacement are crippling contact tracers.
You gotta love the Pixar animation on that one. Fact-based coverage. Select visuals are AI generated for illustration. That's our disclaimer. So that's laying out the exploding case numbers, no vaccine reality, as fresh reports confirm non-citizens are being barred from U.S. entry entirely. Non-citizens, let's be clear about that. Non-citizens.
Yeah, good morning to you, Mary. It's only been 1 week since the World Health Organization declared Ebola a global public health emergency, and already officials are admitting that this outbreak is spreading faster than they can contain it, which is why several countries now, including the U.S., are tightening their travel restrictions. Americans who are coming in from affected areas can only enter this country through airports here in Atlanta, in Dulles, in Virginia, and also starting today, Bush Airport in Houston. And they're required to undergo enhanced screenings, including temperature checks. Meanwhile, if you're a non-citizen, you're banned from coming into this country at all if you've been into those impacted areas in the last 3 weeks. That's because this virus is raging. Doctors now suspect nearly 900 infections, primarily in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Another 200 people are also suspected to have died from this virus. At least 10 African nations now being warned that they have an elevated transmission risk. With the FIFA World Cup just less than 3 weeks ago, or 3 weeks away rather, fears were growing that the virus could spread beyond just Central Africa, which is why the White House is now warning the Congolese soccer team, which is currently in Belgium, that their players could be denied entry into the U.S. if they return to their home country before the FIFA matches begin here on June 11th. But George, despite all this anxiety and all these warnings, health officials do say that on a global level, the threat of Ebola remains low for now. George.
The threat of Ebola remains low for now. Mandatory Ebola screenings have expanded, as we declared earlier. Travelers arriving from the Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda, and South Sudan now required to undergo temperature checks and complete a health questionnaire after landing in Atlanta. If travelers pass the screening, they're cleared to leave the airport, but will still be monitored for 21 days by a state health department at their final destination. The move comes as the current Ebola outbreak overseas has caused at least 220 deaths around the world. So I maybe just keep them out. How about that? How about that? Just keep them out. So here's the real story. Well, Democrats melt down over World Health Organization funding. The Trump administration executing aggressive containment at border and airports. Russia's vaccine play shows other nations are racing for leverage. America's independence strategy avoids reliance on broken global institutions and focuses on rapid domestic action. The contrast could not be clearer. One side delivers results, the other delivers excuses and attacks on sovereignty. This outbreak proves why national control over health security is non-negotiable. So the bottom line is very simple. The Trump administration is acting decisively to shield Americans while the World Health Organization admits defeat and Democrats push the same failed global playbook. We'll keep tracking every development with the facts that you need. So share this report with your family and friends so they know the real story, and drop a yes or no in the comments right now. Do you trust the Trump team to handle this better than past administrations? And make sure you check out the Next News merch shelf below this video. And celebrate America 250 with us. It's coming up quickly. And text the words raw feed to that secret number on the screen, 844-840-4963. We set that up just for you so you can bypass any algorithmic suppression, get direct updates straight to your phone. Stay vigilant, America, because America first, health security always comes first. All right, moving right along. We got some more news to keep you abreast of. I think we're going to move into, so we've covered the Iran topic, we've covered the Ebola topic. Maybe I'll leave it up to you guys in the chat. Where do you guys want to go from here? We could talk about gas, we could talk about Chicago, we could talk about the ICE attacks, we could talk about Trump's health, or we could talk about the alien DNA. What do you guys think? Where do you guys want to go from here? This is choose your own adventure on the Next News Network. What is it going to be? Maddie's Losers, what do you think? Gromars, what are you guys thinking? Pothead Kenny, Cajun, James, Gas, exactly, what happened to hantavirus? Oh, well, they got tired of hantavirus and they moved to Ebola. See, we didn't react to the same way that they wanted us with COVID to haunt us, so they went ahead and moved to Ebola. You see how that works? Okay, looks like Christy wants us to go to ICE. Curio wants aliens. Do we have to take a poll? Well, the poll would only show up on the YouTube side of things, so I think, Corinne wants to go to Chicago. The Chicago footage is outrageous. Just outrageous. Okay, Brian is pushing me towards Chicago. Let's talk about the arrests. Okay, so let's talk about the arrests. I want to find out when Comey's getting perp walked like legit. The latest about Trump's health, we're going to get to that. Uranium in North Korea, China's engagement, and NATO. Yeah, the NATO story, we don't have an isolated topic on that, but I know that President Trump is basically drawing down a lot of the support for NATO, which is a good thing in my opinion. Okay, Brian is pushing me, right, meow, says Shamus III. Meow. Chicago, Chicago, Chicago. Okay, Chicago it is, guys, you win. All right, we're going to go to Chicago. Because that's my kind of town. That's what I'm doing, Brian. Okay. Let's go. Chicago Democrats are once again claiming victory while their city burns. Governor J.B. Pritzker stands before the cameras insisting crime rates are falling and Illinois should be proud. Yet over one holiday weekend alone, dozens were shot, a toddler killed, beaches overrun by violent teen mobs, and 5 officers left hospitalized after one attacker tried to run them down. Well, President Trump, he's seen enough and he's calling it out directly. So what happens when the people in charge refuse to admit the obvious danger in their streets? That's the question tonight. You see, this is not just one city's problem. Chicago has become the national test case for progressive governance that tells citizens police cannot keep them safe while elites surround themselves with armed protection paid for by those same taxpayers. When mayors and governors preach reduced enforcement and community programs as the answer, ordinary Americans pay the price in rising disorder, fear, and lost businesses. The contrast with President Trump's America First approach couldn't be clearer. Secure borders, support for law enforcement, and zero tolerance for chaos. So, as you're watching this, know that your own community could face the same collapse if these failed ideas spread. And while Chicago's failures expose the dangers of weak leadership, we got some breaking news on America's critical mineral supply chain showing how real strength is actually built. And the SAGA metals story just got a lot stronger. Less than 48 hours ago, SAGA released new information suggesting its radar project may be sitting on one of the largest titanium and vanadium systems on the entire planet. Now, SAGA trades as SAGMF in the U.S. and SAGA in Canada. It's right there on the screen. Now, to understand this scale, compare radar to China's Panxinhua deposit. That's a state-linked system. It's valued in the multi-billion-dollar range. It's also responsible for over 40% of global vanadium supply. Check out the in-depth interview with the CEO on this topic I did just last weekend. Now, this is national security, and it's because securing domestic critical minerals means reducing dependence on foreign adversaries and protecting American manufacturing jobs for generations. Check the exclusive briefing. It's linked below, but it's only for Next News viewers. Now back to the crisis in Chicago, where the contradictions just keep piling up, just like a buffet plate at J.B. Pritzker's favorite buffet. Now, the latest footage shows even more teen takeovers, turning public spaces into war zones, including attacks on drivers. One confirmed gun arrest right in the middle of the crowds at the exact same time. Reports reveal Mayor Brandon Johnson's security detail, you ready for this, burns through over $30 million a year, while the city claims it can't afford to protect regular residents. So, Darren Bailey, who is the candidate who is running against J.B. Pritzker in the governor's race in Illinois, he posts just a couple hours ago that J.B. Pritzker is telling people crime is down after a holiday weekend of shooting and mobs. So let's see what the governor has to say here as he stands outside the Special Recreation Center in Champaign.
We've had a couple youth-involved gun violence shootings in Champaign-Urbana and in Danville. With summer approaching, how are you working with local governments, local organizations to try and curb that?
So there are a couple things that I've done since becoming governor that are assisting, and you've seen that across the state we actually have brought down the crime rates. Illinois, I'd like to have the lowest crime rate in the entire country. We're 19th out of 50 states, so I think we should be proud of that, but also focused on doing better. I've funded community violence intervention programs that were never funded before I became governor. In fact, they were defunded. That has helped us address the underlying causes of crime in communities, bring down violent crime in particular. What I can say is that we need to make sure that we're providing summer and year-round jobs for kids so that after school they can be engaged in something that's meaningful and earn something for doing it. We've done that, of course. And then we, of course, provide peacekeepers in some areas where these are people who know how to intervene where there are gangs who are fighting one another and try to stop that kind of violence happening between the gangs.
How about police?
And affecting our communities.
Why not police?
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you all very much.
All right, he's off to his next buffet campaign stop at the Golden Corral. So he claims he's brought crime rates down. Trump just exposing the reality on the ground in Chicago. President Trump posting this. Teen takeover in Chicago. 5 officers badly hurt. Mayor and governor are terrible. Should call for help. See, President Trump wants to help Chicago. But Mayor Brandon Johnson, Governor Pritzker, they call that authoritarianism. Yeah. So let's take a look here. This is a Fox News clip that appears to be attached to this.
Were shot in Chicago over the weekend, including a toddler who died. Here are the mayor and police superintendent.
We want to make sure that we're out here to stop people from being harmed. That's the most important thing. We want to make sure that people are safe, they can enjoy our city. I mean, if you look around and look at how beautiful the city is, this is a beautiful city. We want to make sure that people can enjoy it.
The accountability mechanism cannot just be with teenagers, right? I know where my son was at 3 o'clock in the morning. After he went to prom, he came home. And we need parents to ensure that their children are coming home.
Well, that's not happening. Clay Travis, Outkick founder.
A dozen people shot and injured across the city, including several teens. Mike Tobin has the latest. Mike?
Well, Dana, here we go again. Summer kicks off, the holiday when we're supposed to remember those who paid the ultimate price in service to the nation, and the whole thing gets overwhelmed by violence. early Sunday morning. Another teen takeover a little west of the University of Illinois at Chicago. Chicago police showed up to disperse the crowd, and they were rammed by a car. 5 officers were transported to local hospitals. Each officer survived. Now, police say the driver is 18-year-old Rashad Johnson. He had a weapon with him. He's facing multiple felony charges, including attempted murder, and he's expected in court today. That takeover, just one of many across the city. In the Little Village neighborhood, officers heard gunfire, responded, and found 14 shot. The youngest, 14 years old. The gunman fled the scene. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson went back to a familiar message and said parents need to know where their kids are at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah. Remember those old commercials? It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? So another teen takeover, this time North Avenue Beach, involved more than 100 of Chicago's finest scholars. When they got bored enjoying the sand, they moved west. A group of teens attacked someone at State and Division. Some kids attempted to steal an SUV at LaSalle and Clark. A woman was hit at Elm and Lakeshore Drive. One kid was caught with a gun. Another fight broke out at Clark and North. At about the same time, police were dealing with a takeover involving hundreds of kids at 57th Street Beach. Blocks away, 3 men were shot. Please choose Chicago as your vacation destination this summer, where you can interact with the wildlife and savor the food. Remember, don't demonize our youth who are just looking for something to do. Here's some of the footage that was posted by fake BJ Johnson. Check this out, my goodness.
There's a teen takeover. There's a bunch of cops, a bunch of police. There's at least 40 cop cars. At least 40 cop cars and thousands of teens. This is crazy. They're running, getting on cars, stopping traffic, and there's...
Oh, but they just wanted a couple of Big Macs. Come on. And this from CWP Chicago. This is the gunman who shot 3 people as CPD tried to quell an enormous large group at Hyde Park last night. CPD needs help tracking him down. That's the best we can do here in 2026. Apparently a pixelated image looks more like an alien disclosure from the Department of War as opposed to an actual identifiable image. But police handled one takeover, a gunman opened fire on 3 people in Hyde Park. I guess we've got some footage of that. This is from Libs of Chicago. We're told that teens are acting like this, just need a safe place to go and enjoy themselves. Remember that is what Governor Pritzker said at the open of this report. What did he say? Yeah, but they just need to have a great place to go and have a job and work and yeah. No, it doesn't work like that, guy. Look at that. Look at that.
You see this?
I'm going full screen on this one. Look at that. Look.
Craziness.
There is no way the cops can handle that.
It is wild on this motherfucker. Right on everywhere. Let's do it, nigga!
Yeah. So, that's Chicago. Officials claim these teens need just a safe place to go, but the results speak for themselves. Lives in Plainfield comes to Chicago with the same mentality. It's okay to attack, harass, and try to kill police officers. Donald N. Muhammad. Let's take a look at that. Here we go. Here is the offender charged with attempted murder on multiple Chicago police officers. The offender, Rashad Johnson, 18, of Plainfield. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with, folks. Let's keep going. We got more to dig into. Oh, look at this. Look at this. This is insane. This is another insane street takeover on Lower Wacker, guys. Is that guy, what is he, is that Is that what is it? Airsoft? It's got to be airsoft. Isn't it? Lower Wacker Drive. Yeah, has anyone sent this over to J.B. Pritzker's office yet? Or Brandon Johnson's office? There's got to be 1,000 kids down there. All just looking for something to do after school. Look at this insanity. And this is just one of the clips that made it to the internet. And so often these cars go out of control. They plow right into these kids that are all standing on the side. Shooting airsoft guns, blow torches, setting fire things. Oh, but they're waving a Chicago flag, so at least they're showing their city spirit, right? Yeah, that's Chicago. 54 people were shot in Chicago over the weekend. Is that a problem? Donald Trump's a dictator. Yeah, that's generally the talking point. So Brandon Johnson's security detail apparently now revealed 150 Chicago Police Department officers. Average salary $150,000 a year. Base cost $22.5 million. Overtime at $33.7 million. And the city's running on crime. Chicago Democrats preach reform while spending $30+ million a year protecting themselves. Here is William Kelly, one of the finer Chicago reporters confronting Brandon Johnson, giving Brandon Johnson just anxiety attacks all day long. If you didn't know, Brandon Johnson spends the majority of his time locked up and tranquilizing himself with anti-anxiety medications because he just can't handle the job. So let's hear what William Kelly's grilling him on this time.
Over the last week, I've literally interacted with over 300,000 plus real Chicagoans who say that it is hate speech for you to evoke the Civil War, to evoke bringing back the Confederacy, to say that law enforcement is a sickness when you yourself have over 150 sworn police officers on your detail. What do you say to these people, and will you ask your 150 sworn police officer CPD detail to stand down if you and your wife Stacy are ever attacked, shot at, or rammed with a protester vehicle?
First of all, I'm sorry to hear that your numbers of interactions have gone down to only 300,000.
Actually millions, but personally I've interacted with over 300,000, believe it or not.
It went down this week.
No, it's going up. Higher than yours, by the way. Okay. By the way, check out your comments. Check out the comments on your feed.
I think it's important to be able to make sure that to the people that you're talking to, though you're talking to less and less people every week, is that they know the truth. Here's what I've said. That the addiction on jails and incarceration and the addiction of militarism, it is an evil. Dr. King made that very clear.
Really?
He did. And so I believe it's incumbent upon us to make sure that the real Chicagoans or the real people of America, instead of sending billions of dollars overseas, we should be spending it on the people right here in the city of Chicago.
Well, the real Chicagoans that I talk to, that I communicate with, mostly black and brown, actually, tell me that you don't seem to know the difference between illegal aliens and real Chicago citizens. They feel that you are siding with the illegal aliens over them in their communities. And sadly,
let's get to the question.
Let's get to the question. The real question is simply this. I don't know how to make it any more direct. An illegal alien from Nicaragua grabbed a woman on the north side last week, bashed her head into the sidewalk, knocked her unconscious, and raped her. If that had been your wife, Stacy, if that had been your wife, Stacy, would you want ICE to deport her, to deport that illegal alien? Yes or no? Answer the question as a man, not as mayor, but as a man. Would you want ICE to deport that rapist? No? Okay. That's the answer. That's the answer for real Chicagoans.
Mayor, sorry for being late to traffic's bad. Maybe the Fed's been helping.
You're not blaming me for the traffic, are you?
Ha 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 ha.
Wow. And we're getting a new image of the Chicago school buses. Yeah. There we go. That's the Chicago school bus. Of course. I joke. Nothing to joke, though. Nothing to joke about. So the 18-year-old has been charged with attempted murder after allegedly striking 5 Chicago police officers with a vehicle while officers worked to disperse the unruly crowds.
18-year-old is charged with attempted murder after allegedly hitting 5 Chicago police officers while they were trying to disperse the crowds.
Yeah, watch some of that video of what you're talking about. Listen here, you can kind of hear the aftermath.
Oh my God, he just hit a lot of police officers. This car just ran through a whole crowd of Chicago police officers while we clearing out this block party. Oh my God. This dude right here just ran through a whole crowd of Chicago police officers. This is crazy, dude. Hey, everybody good?
You know why he ran through them? Because there's no respect for authority in Chicago. Ainsley, you and I were talking on air, and I've covered Chicago and many of these major blue cities for decades, for a decade now. Going on the ground, going to the community centers, trying to go the compassionate route, talking with the victims' families when they have been murdered in the middle of the street. There's no respect for authority in these cities. And so as a result of these kids are running the streets right now.
And of course, President Trump is taking notice. President Trump posting this to Truth Social. Teen takeover Chicago. 5 officers badly hurt. Mayor and governor are terrible. Should call for help. So I'm sure President Trump's phone is wide open. And he's just waiting for the call. That will never come. So the attempted murder charge against the 18-year-old who allegedly plowed into 5 officers crystallizes everything. This is what happens when leaders spend millions shielding themselves while telling the public that policing is the problem. Chicago now stands as the clearest warning that progressive policies create 2 Americas, one for the protected elite and one for everyone else left to fend off the mobs. So the pattern is undeniable. Leaders who disarm their own cities while living behind walls of police protection, they're not solving crime. They're managing their own escape routes. President Trump has offered federal help, and Chicago's failures make the case for law and order louder every day. If you want real solutions instead of excuses, share this report and drop your thoughts below. Hit subscribe. The question, does Chicago prove that soft on crime policies always fail? That's the conversation we want to have with you. And make sure you text the words raw feed to join the thousands of patriots who already have. They've texted those words to 844-840-4963. They're already bypassing the algorithm suppression, and they're getting direct messages from me to their phone when it matters most. And check out the Next News merch shelf below this video. America stays strong when citizens stay informed and demand accountability. All right, there you go. That's Chicago for you in a nutshell. It's going to be a long summer in Chicago, Catherine. That is correct. It's going to be a long, hot summer. All right. So where we go from here, that's the question. Okay, so we've got the Iran story done. We got the Ebola story done. We just did the Chicago story. I think we need to jump into... We got to take a look at what happens with this ICE stuff. Yeah. That's where we got to go next, guys. So let's go ahead and do that. Brian, let's go to our ICE topic. Get this news. Crack-a-lackin'. Okay, I'm I'm ready when you are, Brian. If you want to restart that counter, we'll begin. Anti-ICE radicals are blocking federal agents at a New Jersey detention facility surrounding exits and interfering with operation. DHS just declared these actions felonies and vowed that law and order will be restored. Protesters covering their faces while accusing agents of the very tactics they use themselves. Local police ignoring calls for backup. This is not a peaceful demonstration. It's direct resistance to lawful enforcement on American soil. The question is how far this defiance will spread before the administration draws a hard line. You see, the republic depends on uniform enforcement of federal law. When sanctuary policies encourage local authorities to ignore federal officers, immigration control collapses and criminals gain safe havens. These Newark confrontations show activists trying to dictate where ICE can operate and who can be detained. If federal agents must negotiate with mobs to leave facilities or check vehicles, sovereignty erodes. The Trump administration is responding with expanded interior enforcement, including airports. So this battle tests whether elected leaders or street radicals control the border and the interior. Every American who values secure communities has a direct stake in the outcome here. And while federal authority faces street-level tests, America's mineral independence remains vital to long-term national security. This breaking news on America's critical mineral supply chain. The SAGA metal story just got stronger. Less than 48 hours ago, SAGA released new information suggesting its radar project may be sitting on one of the largest titanium and vanadium mines in the planet. SAGA trades as SAGMF in the U.S. and SAGA in Canada. Now, to understand the scale, compare radar to China's Panxinhua deposit. That's a state-linked system that's valued in the multi-billion-dollar range. It's also responsible for over 40% of global vanadium. So check out the in-depth interview with the CEO I did on this topic just last weekend, and check the exclusive briefing that's linked below, but it's only for Next News viewers. Domestic titanium and vanadium production strengthens the supply chain that supports defense, infrastructure, and manufacturing under the current administration. And this kind of resource security pairs with strong border enforcement to protect the homeland. So the fight is moving into transportation hubs now. Tom Homan confirming that ICE will check identification before passengers even reach TSA screening. That's starting tomorrow. And that shift turns airports into another enforcement layer and frees agents for high-value screening work. This message is unmistakable. No gaps will remain for those in the country illegally. So we have this just in the Department of Homeland Security posting that these rioters have obstructed law enforcement operations, a felony and a crime. Local police refuse to answer calls to help our law enforcement. We will not allow violent rioters to slow ICE down. Law and order will be restored. Let's take a look at this hit here from Fox.
Adam, she's live right now outside Delaney Hall in Newark, New Jersey, where those protesters there, Lexus, have been facing off with some of the ICE agents. What's happening?
That's right. Well, it has been going on for a few days, and then it happened again this morning, and it's happening again throughout the afternoon. So we're just going to move in on a little bit and show you what's going on out here. You can see that they've got the protesters that are sitting here, and I thought it was important to point out a lot of them actually had their faces kind of covered, but the big deal here, right, in New Jersey is that these people don't think ICE agents should be able to cover their faces. So that's one thing. But they're facing off with these ICE officers who are trying to do their job, Sandra, because they believe that this detention facility here, Delaney Hall in Newark, New Jersey, should be shut down. They say it's because the migrants inside of the facility are not being treated right. So that's why they're out here. That's why they're positioned here with their goggles on, ready to be tear gassed or pepper sprayed, they say, if possible. So pointing it out, obviously we covered what happened on the ground in Minneapolis. We covered that in Minnesota. We covered a little bit of what happened in Broadview, Illinois, outside of Chicago. That's a more similar setup to what happened here. So they have not as big of crowds, but the people do come prepared. And one of the other things, Sandra, that was important to point out on video that we saw yesterday on social media was they kind of stop all these cars that are coming and going. And the protesters are trying to act as security in those videos, asking them who's in the car, and then they decide if they're going to let you through or not. And then here you can see some media, but they are blocking the roadway, and this backs up a huge road that's right off the highway. So it really could cause a lot of problems here. So we'll keep an eye on it. But the governor of New Jersey was out here celebrating Memorial Day by demanding that the migrant criminals inside be released because she says they're on a hunger strike. So we'll keep an eye on it, Sandra.
Yeah, they claim that they're being mistreated inside. But we know ICE treats them all equally. DHS calling out the obstruction and local cops refusing to help in Newark. But Tom Homan has a different message, tightening the net at airports, issuing a major warning as ICE prepares to deploy to airports starting tomorrow. ICE can check identification before people even enter the screening area. This means enforcement could begin before TSA checkpoints. Let's take a look at what Tom Homan is saying here.
ICE can check identification before people enter the screening area, right? And we're trying to release TSA resources to get to positions that they really need expertise in, like the X-ray screening. So we're going to be a force multiplier.
Of course, that was during the time when the shutdown was in force. And now federal agents on the ground in Newark pushing the crowd back from Delaney Hall. This is Brendan Gutenschwager, BG on the scene. Another great follow on X. Federal agents pushing back. Take a look at some of this footage here.
How does it feel? Oh, what's going on, white man, man? You feel big? Oh, you're so big. You feel big? That's why you came for Christmas, bitch. Oh, not the video of whose hands were on me. I know the best warriors. Anyone get the video?
I have to commend those ICE agents for their incredible amount of restraint. So there's another account showing DHS letting radicals search vehicles leaving the site instead of holding the line. Anti-ICE radicals winning in Newark as DHS rolls over and left to search every vehicle leaving the facility.
Somebody needs to record. We need to record in case there's violence. We're not moving. Yep. We'll let them out as long as we can make sure. We want to see. Please, let's see. It's good. It's good. It's good. Okay. Right. Make sure to let him go. Okay. Oh, let me hold on. You're good. You're good. Empty. You guys are the deal. You're amazing. You're amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
It's good. Get out. We're good.
Literally checking vehicles.
Hey, let him in.
Their own barricade. TDS.
They always hide in their face. You ashamed, but people can find out your information by your license plate. Ambulance ain't gonna take a bunch of detainees with that.
We gotta take them, guys.
All right. Till next time. 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 Good game. Good game.
Are you bringing them from the hospital back to here?
No.
Where?
They have to get the officers that's there watching.
Fuck no.
So, the confrontation is no longer about policy details. It's a direct test of whether federal law will be enforced uniformly across the country. DHS has labeled the Newark actions obstruction and warned that local refusal to assist will not be tolerated. With airport checks added, the administration is closing every loophole. Radicals who thought they could physically slow deportations are now facing a coordinated federal response that prioritizes American citizens and legal order. So the Trump administration is restoring the principle that federal law applies everywhere, not just at the border. These protests expose just how far that some will go to protect illegal presence at the expense of citizens. Law and order must prevail. So share this report, comment below with your thoughts, and subscribe for updates. The question here now, should ICE continue checking IDs at airports? That's the conversation we want to have with you. And make sure you text the words raw feed, like the thousands of patriots before you, to the number 844-840-4963. That's the number on the screen. That's how we bypass the algorithm, get direct notifications sent to your phone. And make sure you check out the next news merch shelf below this video. Celebrate America 250 with us, because America First means enforcing the law without apology. All right, moving right along. Let's see what we're talking about in the chat room. Any other super chats to speak of? Let's just check in. Looks like Tom and Bella dropped another $5. Thank you so much. That was about an hour ago, so we thank you for that. Super chat's coming in hot tonight. Appreciate it, guys. It's always encouraging. We get a little boost of energy here whenever we see those super chats come through, so make sure you give generously. And okay, so we've got the Chicago story. Just so you know how we publish this content here, the segments are going up. We record the segments. We drop the segments as well on the YouTube channel. We drop them on X, and you should also see them on the Trump Daily Post account as well. That's our new streaming partner. We're glad to be working with them over there. A great follow. If you haven't followed them just yet, make sure you do. So let's see, we got the Ebola that was dropped today. That's going to drop in about 30 minutes. Let's see here. We got the 6 o'clock, we got the 7 o'clock. So we're going to drop this Chicago story. We'll put that out at the 8 o'clock hour. Okay. Put that out at the 8 o'clock hour. And let's see, what's today's date? Yes, it's the 26th. We'll drop that at the 8 o'clock hour on the YouTube channel. Okay, so Chicago's going to drop. The Jersey story is going to drop after that. Okay, I think we need to go into... I think we need to go to this alien DNA story, Brian. I think we need to. That's really a unique story. Yeah, let's go there, Brian. Let's go there. And then following this alien DNA story, we're going to go into the gas prices. And then we'll talk about Trump's health. So, great to have everybody here tonight. And especially our new streaming partner. No, SAGA, we're going to be talking about that, as a matter of fact, right now. So you came at just the right time. All right, and as of right now, the live stream stats across the platforms that we are pushing to, 28,243. Okay, Brian, you can reboot the timer, and we'll begin our next story. A top scientist just challenged the government to bring out the alien. Neil deGrasse Tyson says high-ranking witnesses and whistleblowers under oath cannot be ignored. Now new military footage shows objects rotating sharply, then vanishing. The conversation has shifted fast from lights in the sky to something much deeper. Intelligence agencies allegedly also mining commercial DNA databases. And right on cue, a Spielberg film dropping just next month, loaded with morgue scenes in the 1973 Nixon reference. The question is no longer if something is happening. The question is how far this goes into the American people as Disclosure Day inches ever closer. See, Americans deserve straight answers from their own government. Decades of secrecy have left families questioning every unexplained light and every official denial. And this erosion of trust hits our republic very hard. When credible voices like Neil deGrasse Tyson shift and footage gets released, the public stops accepting the brush-offs. And the DNA angle raises fresh fears about privacy and what else sits in classified labs. And Hollywood conditioning adds in another layer, leaving viewers wondering if movies prepare us for reality. The Trump administration has the chance to lead on transparency and restore confidence. And of course, we are seeing that with every new disclosure from the Department of War. And because without its suspicion grows that critical technologies and truths stay locked away from the very citizens that they protect. Now, before we go further into the disclosure story that continues, here's a national security angle that directly affects American strength. This is breaking news on America's critical mineral supply chain. The SAGA metals story just got stronger. Less than 48 hours ago, SAGA released new information suggesting that its radar project may be sitting on one of the largest titanium and vanadium systems on the planet. SAGA trades, look at the screen there, SAGA trades at SAGMF in the US and SAGA in Canada. Now, to understand the scale, compare radar to China's Panxinhua deposit. That's a state-linked system valued in the multi-billion-dollar range, also responsible for over 40% of global vanadium supply. Check out the in-depth interview with the CEO I did on this very topic just last weekend. And these resources, they power defense, aviation, and advanced manufacturing right here at home. Also, check the exclusive briefing, link below, but it's only for Next News viewers. Now back to the main story with fresh urgency. See, while minerals secure our industrial edge, another thread just surfaced. A whistleblower claims the CIA combed Ancestry and 23andMe data looking for non-human markers. That single allegation pulls genetics into the same orbit as UAP footage and historical claims. The public mind now connects dots faster than ever before. So, you may have heard about this new Spielberg film that is about to be released. This was just posted today, Disclosure Day. Emily Blunt plays the character of Margaret, and they write that she has an ability like no other. It drops in theaters on 6/12/2026. I mean, yeah, how do they time this stuff? Like, you got disclosures dropping from the Department of War the exact same time that this movie is dropping. So let's watch this trailer together, shall we?
This film is such an original science fiction story about the idea of non-human life existing in other worlds, and that we are not alone. Good morning, Kansas City. And Margaret is suddenly imbued with these abilities she's never had before. Daniel Kellner.
Who is this?
Do not go back to the house. I don't know who you are, but they're gonna kill you. Her and Daniel, they are the beholders of this world-changing secret.
It's the two of you. It's always been just the two of you.
Whatever happens,
Don't you let go.
And so they are being chased down by the highest form of shadowy government who are trying to stop them from revealing this truth to the world. This is it. They're here. These new, extraordinary gifts that have been bestowed upon them challenge the characters' values and their beliefs about what's possible.
3, now! 2, 1.
This is Disclosure Day.
In theaters, June 12th, right on cue. So the Disclosure Day trailer lays out the world-changing secret under pursuit. And now we have this Hollywood pushing full disclosure at once. Neil deGrasse Tyson demanding the government deliver the real evidence. He's continued to shift on UAPs, stating that numerous high-ranking credible witnesses have testified to the existence of alien bodies in craft. Noting such levels of testimony becomes impossible to simply dismiss everyone as unreliable.
In recent years, you've had last 10 years, I would say, you had high-ranking people who you would not suspect would be prone to imagination running away with them. That they, high-ranking, of high respect, high integrity. Not only that, in the last 3 years, we've had insiders and whistleblowers who testify under oath that they've got alien body parts from crashed saucers and crashed saucer parts and reverse engineering things. So at that level, you can't just say they're all crazy. You can say crazy people are crazy and you're done. But when people at that level say, then no. So I'm in a position now where when they announce they're going to release the files, I'm saying, I don't think the files are going to say anything we don't already think are there. So you know what I really need? Is it too much to ask? Bring out the alien.
Yeah.
Is that too much to ask? You're already telling us you have it. Our imagination is run to no end of fulfillment with alien movies and stories. And so just bring out the alien. Because you bring out more and more people of different rank and in age of disclosure, it was not just insiders and whistleblowers. It was members of Congress, current and former members of Congress. And so bringing more of them out saying fundamentally the same thing does not really count as evidence scientifically.
So he says the files will not be enough. He says, bring out the body. I think we can all agree. That's really what we want to see. Now we have this newly released military UAP clip shows exactly the kind of maneuvering witnesses keep describing. This behavior, the object tilting sharply before vanishing completely from the sensor frame, captured in official footage, matches decades of eyewitness reports describing sudden rotation followed by instantaneous disappearance or extreme acceleration. This is just one of the clips from the disclosure project of the Department of War as mandated by President Trump. Let's watch this closely here. I'm going to zoom in right there. You can see it clearly turning and then disappearing. It shifts. This is slow motion now. Rotates and completely disappears from the sensor. Where did it go? Of course, a lot of people believe that these are interdimensional beings, not necessarily from another world, but another dimension. What dimension? Well, that remains to be seen. And somebody spotted this in the Disclosure Day trailer. And you may have heard this story. I've heard it told a number of times. But this guy says, I noticed something extremely interesting in the trailer. There's a brief shot that appears to show a hidden morgue or laboratory. Scientists in hazmat suits pulling bodies from a freezer while two men stand in suits. One of those men resembles Richard Nixon. The other, dressed almost exactly like Jackie Gleason in the famous 1970s white suit photo. Then I noticed the date in the upper right corner, February 18, 1973. That detail may matter. If intentional, Spielberg may be directly referencing one of the strangest old Hollywood UFO stories. Maybe you've heard this story. It's remarkable. It's the claim that Nixon personally took Jackie Gleason to a secret military facility in Florida and showed him preserved alien bodies. According to the story, Gleason returned home deeply shaken, told his wife he'd seen small non-human corpses stored in glass cases. Most people have treated UFO as folklore or urban legend, but the trailer imagery is oddly specific. Hazmat scientists, morgue drawers, Nixon-like observer, a Gleason-like figure in a white jacket. Maybe it's coincidence, but Spielberg does not usually put details like that on screen by accident. Yeah, this is clearly a reference to that scene. So it looks like Steven Spielberg is giving us a glimpse of a reenactment of that moment. Clearly, you can see what looks like Richard Nixon. You could see the hairline, Jackie Gleason. Have you guys heard that story before? It's really a fascinating story. That Richard Nixon took Jackie Gleason to a top secret facility. And there's the date in the corner, February 18th, 1973. designed to look like closed-circuit camera footage. So Spielberg is definitely digging into the historical record. So now we have this in the Northeast, a homeowner recording silent lights moving over a quiet neighborhood. This is when the ghost in the house tells you to get out, you better run. The video is coming from Northeast United States, small town USA. Okay, so this is footage. I don't know what it is, but this is circulating now. Hard to really, I mean, is that a UFO? Is that a, I mean, that looks more like something of a black project. Something of a black budget. Because you can see it's got navigation lights, which resemble what FAA would require planes to carry. But apparently this was spotted over the Northeast. No debunking claims as of this report. The blinking light at the front. So I would lean towards something of a black budget project aircraft being spotted with respect to whatever this footage is that is now circulating. Now this one is from the Philippines. This captured my attention too. This is actually really interesting. And what you're going to see here is a meteor crashing behind, and look at that, a meteor crashing behind this erupting volcano. Now watch, something comes out of the meteor and begins flying upwards right into this area on the right side of the screen. Look at that. And it's not like it's being propelled as if it was shot out from the impact crater, but something rising at a constant rate of speed. Now, could it just possibly be an aircraft that's flying behind, and it's just the way that it's flying through the air is, part of its trajectory? I don't know. But this was definitely some bizarre footage that also just surfaced today. So the meteor crash appears to release an airborne object near a volcano in the Philippines. And this is the other story here about the whistleblower claims CIA used DNA data from Ancestry and 23andMe in the search for aliens. This comes from the New York Post. The whistleblower claims CIA used DNA from Ancestry and 23andMe in their search for aliens from customers. Does CIA have its own Men in Black? Apparently the government is not disclosing everything it knows about UFOs. The whistleblowers accused the CIA of attempting to use sites like 23andMe and Ancestry to uncover people with extraterrestrial DNA in their makeup. The CIA wants to hunt them down, said philosopher and novelist Jason Reza Jorjani, Ph.D., while discussing the so-called top-secret government program in an episode of the podcast American Alchemy. He claims he was alerted to this bug-hunting initiative by Army veteran Lynn Buchanan, who claims he was a psychic spy with the CIA's remote viewing program, which investigated whether individuals could use extrasensory perception to conduct recon on distant objects, events, or people. Jorjani said Buchanan had informed him that former CIA analyst and UAP specialist Christopher Kit Green had devised a backdoor way of accessing 23andMe and Ancestry, uber popular sites to break down users' family trees to screen users for specific genetic variants linked to non-human beings. He was part of the remote viewing. Green was part of the remote viewing program in the 70s, but left the intelligence agency long before the founding of the DNA detective sites. Buchanan reportedly learned of this so-called campaign after being approached at a dinner by three individuals claiming to be Nordics, tall, blue-eyed, blonde visitors from beyond that are said to be living covertly among us. They live in small towns in the Colorado Rockies and they pass because they look like tall Scandinavian people, that's what he remarked, of Buchanan's story. Despite Trump releasing hundreds of formerly classified files on UFOs and the hunt for alien life, the Pentagon has insisted there is no evidence of extraterrestrial existence, Daily Mail reports. Buchanan added the trio had requested this help in avoiding detection by CIA. The alien race had allegedly traveled to our planet via underground railroad of sorts so they could escape their tyrannical government. These alien beings supposedly procreated with humans and birthed a line of intergalactic mixed-race children with the goal of having their future generations grow up in a free society. They said, look, our children, especially our grandchildren, have no idea where they're from, says Giorgiani while describing his sources' so-called close encounter. We tell them stories about how, like, their grandparents are from Sweden or whatever, and they don't know. We just want them to have lives of peace in America. In 2023, an appearance of Through the Glass Darkly podcast, a retired Army sergeant said that the pie chart listing all the ethnicities, African American, German, etc., there's a wedge called Other, which means unknown or unidentifiable. From what I found out, there are government people who are looking into that wedge. Buchanan cautioned. He's not the first person to warn of these so-called alien human hybrids. Geneticist Dr. Marx Rappel asserted that aliens might have abducted us and inserted genes into human DNA, while the fallout affecting potentially millions of people. So, that's from the New York Post, guys. That's from the New York Post. So this matters because the psychological barriers collapsed. Millions no longer dismiss every report. They're demanding that the Trump administration release what it holds and end all the games. And that's exactly what President Trump is doing through the Department of War. So advanced maneuvering and official videos, like you saw, plus DNA stories, plus old Hollywood nods all point to hidden knowledge. That knowledge belongs to the American people. And with Trump and Vance in charge this time, well, we're getting some answers. The nation that leads in transparency will lead the future. So the bottom line is quite simple. Truth strengthens America. Hiding it weakens us. So share this video with every friend who wants real disclosure and drop a comment answering this simple yes or no question. Do you believe the Trump administration should show us the bodies? And check out the Next News merch shelf below this video and celebrate America 250 with us. But make sure you also text the words raw feed to that secret number on the screen, 844-840-4963. That's how you bypass the algorithm. That's how you get direct updates from me like thousands of other patriots are already benefiting from. Together, we're going to push for the full picture that every generation deserves. Stay vigilant and stay free. Okay, that's our alien disclosure story. I do enjoy those reports. It's interesting to tie into the Trump administration, as President Trump is continuing to drip feed what is happening. Okay, so we've got those 6. So we've now dropped, what have we got? We got the 6, we got the 7, and we've got the 8 o'clock. And I think we're going to probably drop this last one. I think we'll do this one. Well, where do we go from here? That's the question. What's that, Brian? I'm just trying to figure out when we drop this ICE story. Do we drop it, in the hot zone tomorrow, or do we drop this one at 9 o'clock outside the hot zone? I think 9 o'clock's still in the hot zone, so I think we'll put this one in the hot zone now. Okay, and we'll put this one at the 9 o'clock drop. And then the rest will go out tomorrow. So let's see here. We got the UFO story. We'll put that. I think the hot zone begins at about noon. So we'll put this one at the noon o'clock tomorrow. And then we're going to put the next one into, what did you want to do, Brian? You want to go with the health? Okay, okay, and then we'll do the last one for the gas prices. So then we'll drop that one at, I think tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Let's put that one at the 2 o'clock hour tomorrow. And then we'll put this next one, the gas prices, at $2 o'clock. We'll put that one at the 3 o'clock hour, I guess, tomorrow. Okay, so we're going to move into the Trump health story now. And what's interesting now for you guys watching is you guys are actually watching the production of these pieces. So you're seeing it before it's actually published on our channel as you're watching on X. And of course, all these will be dropped on the X account before they do hit YouTube. So you'll get first dibs on this information that we've collected for you guys tonight. Okay. Okay. Okay, Brian, go. The political media machine is spitting into overdrive again. President Trump headed to Walter Reed for his routine medical checkup, and within minutes, the legacy networks were hammering away at his health ahead of his 80th birthday. NBC's Today Show burned 91 seconds warning viewers about bruising, leg swelling, and supposed fatigue, while an ABC poll claimed only 40% think he has the mental sharpness for the job. But something just happened that blew the entire narrative apart. See, this is not just another round of cable chatter. Every attack on President Trump's stamina is really a direct assault on the momentum of the America First agenda. If the deep state media can convince the public that our 47th president is slowing down, they hope to weaken the bold leadership that delivered energy independence, border security, and economic wins in record time. And viewers watching right now, you're seeing the same failed playbook that propped up Biden's obvious decline for years. And the difference is Trump's team is fighting back with facts, and the American people are rejecting the gaslighting. The stakes are the continuity of the strongest president in modern history. And while the media obsesses over politics, there's some breaking developments in America's critical mineral supply chain that's demanding national attention right now. Less than 48 hours ago, SAGA Metals released new information suggesting its radar project may be sitting on one of the largest titanium-vanadium systems on the entire planet. SAGA Metals is directly tied to securing domestic resources that China has weaponized against us. To understand the scale, you got to compare radar project to China's Panzinhua deposit, which is a state-linked system valued in the multi-billion-dollar range and responsible for over 40% of global vanadium production. Now, SAGA trades, write this down, as SAGMF in the U.S. and SAGA in Canada. You can check out the in-depth interview with the CEO that I did on this topic just last weekend, and check the exclusive briefing link below, but it's only for Next News viewers who want the full picture on this strategic breakthrough. Now back to the fight over the White House medical update. Even New York Magazine reporter sat in the Oval with President Trump's Walter Reed doctors dropping a truth bomb on CNN that stopped the panel cold. A physician who treated both Obama and Trump stated without hesitation that the current president is much healthier than expected. Now here is NBC's Today. They spent 91 seconds warning that Trump's going to Walter Reed for a physical today, placing a growing spotlight on the president's health ahead of his 80th birthday and the visible health issues, including bruising and swelling and and dozing off at some of his White House events. Garrett Haake touted the fact that an ABC Washington Post poll found only 40% of America believes the president has the mental sharpness to do the job and 44% in physical capacity to be in office. I wonder if they ever did that same poll for Joe Biden.
Washington now, President Trump heading to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center this morning for what the White House calls a medical and dental checkup. It's his third visit in 13 months and puts the spotlight on the president's health ahead of his 80th birthday next month. NBC's chief White House correspondent Garrett Haake has more. Garrett, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. Look, the White House says this is just a routine doctor's visit for President Trump. But as he approaches that 80th birthday, his physical and mental health are under a growing spotlight. Now, the president has had some visible health issues that he and his doctors say are minor. He's been seen with bruising on his hand, which he says is from aspirin usage and too many hard handshakes. And there's swelling on his lower legs, which his doctors say comes from a common vein condition. He has also appeared to doze off in some recent White House events, which he and the White House say are not actually what we see. The president receives regular medical care here at the White House, but some specialized testing, like the CT scan conducted on his heart and on his abdomen last October, can only be done when he's off-site. Now, this all comes as recent polling from the Washington Post and ABC shows that 40% of Americans believe the president has the mental sharpness to do what is one of the world's toughest jobs. That's a 7-point drop from September. And in terms of his physical capacity, that number stands at 44%. That's a 10-point drop from 8 months ago. For his part, the president said back in February that he feels decades younger than his 79 years. Savannah?
Garrett Haake at the White House. Thank you.
Garrett Haake. I've had some interactions with him at the White House. Always cordial. But, of course, he has to highlight what his masters tell him. NBC is pushing the health scare with polls claiming Trump's lacking sharpness. New York Magazine reporter telling CNN panelists that what Trump's own Walter Reed doctor said. Overton News. New York Magazine correspondent stunning the CNN panel with an unexpected truth about Trump's health. Dana Bash attempting to draw narratives about Trump's visit to Walter Reed. But Ben Terrace said he'd spoken directly with 2 of Trump's doctors in the past. And here is what he had to say.
The thing I can say is true about Donald Trump's health is that his doctors do say that he's very healthy. I had this surreal interview in the Oval Office with Donald Trump and 2 of his doctors from Walter Reed. This is in late December. And I did ask the question of the doctors, one of whom said that he saw Barack Obama when Obama was president. I asked, well, who is healthier? And the doctor did say to me without skipping a beat, even though, I mean, the president was staring at him. He had a little bit of pressure on him. But he did say President Trump is healthier. I'm not saying that President Trump is healthier than Barack Obama was when he was president, but it is true that the doctors are saying that. And so either the doctors are under Donald Trump's thumb or they're seeing something that is pretty miraculous. Let's put it that way.
Pretty miraculous. Well, I think anything President Trump does is miraculous given the state of what he was handed. And then the White House posting a perfect bill of health. That was the post today. Perfect physical. Trump posting on Truth Social. Just finished my 6-month physical at Walter Reed Military Medical Center. Everything checked out perfectly. Thank you to the great doctors and staff. Heading back to the White House, President Donald J. Trump. New York Post also highlighting the fact Trump arriving at Walter Reed.
Can you just talk about why Americans need to know about this and how important it is for you?
This is the New York Post piece. President Trump arriving at Walter Reed and the White House making it clear that he has received a perfect physical, despite what the media would have you believe. So the White House firing back with a simple declaration of a perfect bill of health. That statement lands like a checkmate because it comes straight from the same medical team that examined Trump. The contrast could not be clearer after years of media cover-up for Biden's decline, the same outlets are now desperately hunting for any sign of weakness in the man who's actually delivering results. Results signed by his own pen, not an auto pen. See, this moment exposes the selective outrage and proves the narrative war is really about stopping Trump's second-term agenda. So President Trump, he continues to prove the doubters wrong with energy and results that outpace men half his age. Personally, I do not know how he can keep up that pace. I'm astonished at the president's schedule every time I check it when I get the White House emails, and they come in frequently. But the media's health panic, it's collapsing, all under the weight of actual medical testimony. So share this report with every America who's still buying the legacy spin, and drop a yes in the comments if you believe Trump's strength is exactly what America needs right now. And join the thousands of patriots. You see that number on the screen? See those words? Text raw feed. Thousands of patriots have already done it before you. I want you to be the next one. To text 844, text raw feed to 844-840-4963. That's how you will bypass the algorithm. That's how you get direct updates from me when it matters most. And check out the Next News merch shelf below this video. Trump is healthy. Trump is winning. And the future belongs to those who refuse to be lied to. Okay. So now we're going to move into the gas price panic. The panic is happening. Med beds and doubles. All right. Yeah. Did they watch him walking with Z? And then up the steps when he arrived in China? Do they think Biden could have done that? Bill's Rule says, I'm 67. He puts me to shame. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how he does it, guys. Honestly, don't even know. The guy's a machine. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, Brian's got a little bit of a delay to deal with here. Let's see what else you guys are saying. The female anchor sounds like a smoker. James stand back. 2. What's up, James? So we're hitting some pretty serious numbers tonight on all of our streaming locations. 34,129. I think I'm gonna even take a picture of that because it is certainly remarkable. Let's see here. That is remarkable. And I'm trying to check here. Trump hosts, you showed they're fake. Trump Daily tried to confuse. Okay, so there are some posts that do try to confuse people and copying the other. And it looks like, what is this? We're dominating the X live stream that expose all of the related content. It's not even close. Look at that. Look at that. That's amazing. So we are killing all these feeds between the headlines. Look at that. We've got more than Beyond Bannon's War Room, America First Warehouse, Frankie Stocks, Mitch, Regex, Jay Gatling, Tallahassee Patriots. Wow. 1,950. I wonder, is that, I know this is live. I guess I'm curious, is it like a space too? Does it show up like a space for you guys? I don't know how that really functions. All I know is it just shows up as a live. I see. Okay. Donnie needs to drop the files. Which files? The Epstein files or the alien files? Okay. All right, let's get into our gas story. Let me see if I can track through some of this stuff here. Make sure we got everything lined up. Okay. All right, Brian, let's rock and roll. Gas prices are no longer just about filling your tank. They become the next major political war heading into the midterms. Trump allies are delivering one unified message that Democrats do not actually want cheap energy for American families. Oil markets are swinging wildly over Iran tensions, with prices first surging and then reversing as peace looks closer. This volatility hits every wallet through inflation, groceries, and trucking costs. The Trump energy message is locked in and ready to expose the real agenda. And the battle over gasoline prices, it shapes the entire direction of the American economy. One side stands for energy abundance, domestic drilling, and lower costs that lift working families. The other pushes climate transition, climate change, and emissions rules that force higher prices and restrict choice. State governors like Gavin Newsom and J.B. Pritzker, they add punishing taxes and regulations that make prices even worse in their states. Trump allies are framing this as a direct attack on affordability. Gas prices are psychologically powerful because people feel them instantly at the pump. This fight decides whether America gets abundance or forced austerity. And before we continue, I do want to share something that connects directly to protecting your family's health during these uncertain times. Now, you've probably seen the clip. It's gone viral. Joe Rogan sitting with Mel Gibson talking to people about people close to him who went through some serious health struggles and then saw dramatic turnarounds. Joe Rogan brings up light-based therapies and how they impact the body at a cellular level. Gibson just says it straight, this stuff works. Now, that got my attention because in my own life I watched something very similar unfold. For a long time, my wife was dealing with constant discomfort and anxiety. One of those situations where nothing seemed to help until we discovered red light therapy through Jonathan Otto. The results were incredible and changed everything for our family. I did an interview with him over the weekend. It just dropped on Sunday. You got to check it out. It was a wide-ranging, amazing interview. But there's a link down below, myredlight.com. Make sure you use NNN25 for individual items or NNN30 for bundles so you can get started today. Now let's get back to the gas price fight that every American is watching. Now the penition narrative is back in full force. As Trump allies mock the doomers, predicting endless crisis. Markets are already stabilizing, futures are crashing, and after the initial spike. So this reversal shows that confidence itself is political warfare. Trump supporters are being told to stand firm because his strategy ultimately wins while establishment voices continue to spread fear. Derek Evans posting, "Send this to every liberal Democrat complaining about the current gas prices under President Trump." It's just a friendly reminder. The Democrat leadership not only defended high gas prices under Joe Biden, they said it was a good thing so more people would buy electric vehicles. Never forget this, folks.
Every liberal Democrat who's complaining about the current gas prices under President Trump, so you can remind them that Democrat leadership not only defended the high gas prices under Joe Biden, they actually said it was a good thing.
Of course, the more pain we are all experiencing from the high price of gas, the more benefit there is for those who can access electric vehicles.
Yeah. Remember Pete Buttigieg? Yeah, remember that guy? High gas prices are good. It's going to force everyone to buy electric. So Democrats, they once defended sky-high gas prices as a way to push EVs, and President Trump has a sharply different forecast for when relief arrives. This is, we remind you what President Trump said before he went to China. Gas prices will drop tremendously once the Strait reopens, and hundreds of oil ships are waiting to flood the market.
Do whatever is necessary, and as soon as this war is over, which will not be long, you're going to see oil prices drop, and you're going to see a stock market, which is already at the highest point in history, go through the roof. You're going to see the golden age of America, frankly, and you're seeing it now. So as soon as this is, don't forget, you have hundreds of ships that are loaded up with oil that want to come out. As soon as they come out, we're going to have a gusher of oil, and you're going to have inflation that goes way down. Now, with all of this, inflation is much lower than it was under Biden. Biden had the highest inflation in the history of our country. Inflation is nothing by comparison, but our inflation is just short term. Because if you go from just before the war, we were for the last 3 months 1.7%. And now what you have is as soon as this war is over, you're going to see inflation go down to probably 1.5%.
That was before President Trump left for his big China trip, reminding us repeatedly, as soon as this thing is over, wait to see gas prices. And of course, Gavin Newsom is, one California governor is instead blaming refineries. Gavin Newsom dragged for Memorial Day gas price gaslighting. California governor facing criticism for California's record gas prices tried to blame Chevron. But as everyone was quick to point out, Gavin's policies are the reason gas is $3 higher in California than any other state, going so far as Chevron had to post signs at all of their gas stations reminding people as they filled up their tank. Let's go to the 10-minute drill with their 90-second hit.
Last week, Gavin Newsom turned heads when he declared war on Chevron. Posting from his Governor Newsom press office Twitter account, Californians, if you're hitting the road this holiday weekend, be sure to avoid Chevron. Now, remember here, Gavin Newsom's been at war with Chevron for years now because Chevron moved refineries out of the state due to Gavin Newsom's own policies. No one moves refineries just because they want to. They move because it's no longer economically sound. So Gavin Newsom's been after Chevron for years because of that. But declaring war on a major state employer like Chevron is a bizarre move, but as people were very quick to point out, California has gas prices that are more than $2, in some cases $3 higher than any other state, and it's because of Gavin Newsom and his insane policies. For example, this person in Southern California pointed out that there's one area where you can get gas for $3 cheaper if you drive 4 miles across the border into Arizona. How could Chevron do this? Again, it is not Chevron, it's Gavin Newsom. But Gavin Newsom has been dragged to high heaven for the absurdity of this broadside, particularly going into Memorial Day weekend, from people like Comfortably Smug, Steve Forbes, and others who have pointed out that Gavin Newsom did this.
Yeah, you can just point the finger right at Gavin Newsom and this war on Chevron, drawing heavy fire for ignoring his own policies. And now the national average, Eric Spracklin writes, just moved in the opposite direction. The national average for gas is down 4 cents from last week. Thank you, President Trump. So this is the still shot from Fox News. Today, it is down 4 cents from yesterday. So that's a good direction, right? So gas down 4 cents nationally. And one White House voice, Kevin Hassett, claims it proves consumers are still upbeat.
The thing that I've seen when I look at credit card data and other things that I can get for the private sector is that while people have been spending more money at gas stations, they've been spending more money at everything else, which means that they're still very, very optimistic about the state of the economy, and they should be. If you look at GDP now, right now, it's north of 4%. And so despite this disruption, all the momentum that we built with the big, beautiful bill and AI and everything else is really, what the main economic story of the U.S. is.
Yeah, I mean, what?
So consumer sentiment is optimistic despite the numbers. Now, Senator Ted Cruz laying out exactly why Democrats never wanted cheaper gas to begin with. He says, don't let the Democrats fool you. They don't care about gas prices. Under Joe Biden, gas was over $6. Democrats are actively trying to ban the internal combustion engine. Let's check in with the Ted Cruz clip here from his podcast, The Verdict.
Let's put gas prices in context. Under Joe Biden, gas prices soared to over $6 a gallon. That really hurt. People were feeling the pain from that. By the way, the Democrats at the time were celebrating that. You had Democrats who were saying they wanted gas to be $10 a gallon. Remember, these are the same people who were trying to ban the internal combustion engine and force everyone to buy an electric vehicle. So they wanted high gas prices, and they got what they wanted. President Trump came in, and in the first year of his second term, we saw gas prices drop nearly in half to about $3 a gallon. That made a huge difference. That lifted a big load off the shoulders of a lot of Americans. And it was the result of common sense, sound economic policies, ending the regulatory assault on oil and gas. Where we are now is gas prices have gone back up some. They're about $4.50 a gallon. So basically, we've given back about half of what we gained. And it's not complicated why. And anytime you have a military conflict in the Middle East, gas prices go up. That uncertainty in the Middle East predictably has an impact on gas prices. What I will say is I think, number one, that impact is short term.
Yep.
Number two, if and when we reach a good resolution in the Middle East with Iran, I think we will see the long-term trend of gas prices go down and go down significantly.
And I think Ted Cruz is absolutely right. He spelled out the long pattern of Democrats celebrating high prices and fresh U.S. strikes on Iran are now pushing crude back towards $95. The Kobisi letter, U.S. oil prices reverse losses and rise towards $95 a barrel as U.S. military strikes in Iran increase uncertainty around the peace deal. Here is the market chart, $94.18 a gallon. So Iran tensions are lifting oil prices again, but one Illinois candidate says the real damage comes from governors like Pritzker and Newsom. This is Indiana's gas prices. Our problem is not Trump or the Iran war. Our problem is greedy Democrat governors, with Pritzker and Newsom being some of the worst examples. Place blame where it should be. Governors matter more than president when it comes to situations like this. Blame Pritzker.
I'm gassing up right now. Let's see where I'm at. We're going to cut this off at 100, but the car could take more. And it's because this is the price right now. Some of this could be fixed though. For people in Illinois, we actually suffer under so many taxes that are added on top of gas prices that it makes an increase that is national feel unbearable for people who live in Chicago, Cook County, or even just Illinois. What a governor would do if they actually cared about their citizens, because that's what the job of a governor is, and also a mayor. The governor could suspend the gas tax, the fuel tax, and that's what a caring governor would do. And right now, if we're looking at the Cook County tax along with the Chicago tax, all of that together, if they were to suspend those things, that would bring down gas prices probably near $1. So I don't want to hear Democrats whining about gas prices being high, because if they wanted to do something about it, they would get industrial.
They would get industrial. They would cut those taxes. But that's, of course, what they won't do. State taxes and regulations are a bigger factor. And critics are already being told they'll soon thank Trump for the drop. Trump Daily Post. I'll be waiting for every lib and penition to be thanking their president for the cheap prices. The left and doomers are going to have another bad week this week, Trump Daily Post. Crude oil futures prices are crashing. Take a look at some of these crude oil futures. According to a live Google chart here, 91.73. Yeah, looks like they are. They're definitely down. Crude oil futures. So we're going to continue to track all this because we know it affects your wallet. But the peak revelation is that cheap gasoline has become symbolic of America First economic policy. Iran tensions drive short-term volatility, but Trump allies are hammering the contrast between Biden-era surges and today's push for deregulation and production. Blue state governors bear direct blame for adding layers of taxes that punish drivers. This is not random market noise. This is a deliberate ideological clash between abundance and restriction. Ordinary Americans are being asked to sacrifice their standard of living for elite priorities, but the fight over gasoline prices, it's become a symbolic war over the entire direction of the American economy. See, Trump is delivering abundance and lower costs that restore power to working families. Democrats and their governor allies, they expose themselves by defending high prices before. So don't let them fool you again. And share this video, drop your thoughts in the comments, subscribe for more. Yes or no, answer me this. Should state governors suspend gas taxes right now to help families? If you haven't done so yet, there's thousands of patriots who already have. They've texted the words raw feed to 844-840-4963. That's the secret number we just set up for you so you can get direct updates straight to your phone from me to bypass the algorithm. Make sure you check out the Next News merch shelf. It's below this video. Energy independence is the path to real freedom. And President Trump, he's leading the way. Okay, Brian, I think that's all of it, right? That's a wrap for this evening's Between the Headlines. Yes, there was a spelling error in the in the tweet today, but we do want to thank our new streaming partner, Trump Daily Post, for joining us in this mission. And if you haven't followed them yet, give them a follow. Keep an eye out for the segments as they drop on these X platforms at Next News Network. If you're new to us, make sure you give us a follow as well. We'd love to have you. And keep your eyes open. We'll be streaming every night, Monday through Friday. As soon as we get the news all organized, we're going to spit it out and deliver it to you fresh and raw as we always have for the last, how long have we been doing this, Brian? Like 20 years now? Oh, time flies. But you guys make it all worth it. We'll see you at the next report. For the Next News Network, Between the Headlines, I'm Gary Franchi.